Hello guys, today we will be covering the last video about the planets of Minorluu. Before we start doing talking about other things in the Minorluu system, and that's Minorluu, with its well-deserved video. Minorluu is a planet that has a radius of 1.972 Earth radii. It used to be one of the habitable planets, but that's no more as Minorluu age. It has an atmosphere with oxygen. It sounds all nice, but it's an immense atmospheric pressure of 14 bars with an atmosphere of methane, oxygen, hydrogen, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide. It has 3.89 Earth masses. Minorluu orbits Minorluu, a 7.57 billion year old GAIV subgiant that was a F9V/GOV in the main sequence. Minorluu was very habitable back then, getting to the point where life began to emerge and diverge on land. But as Minorluu aged, the planet became hotter, oceans started to evaporate as the atmosphere retained heat, causing a runaway greenhouse. So along with that, a volcanic reemergence happened, causing a runaway effect to have all life on the planet go extinct by the time the system was 6.0 billion years old. Minorluu orbits at 1.21 AU, but completely stereo, as it's long out of the habitable zone of Minorluu. When it was in its prime, as its star's habitable zone became further and further, and eventually Minorluu exited the habitable zone, becoming uninhabitable. It takes Minorluu 453 days to complete an orbit. Minorluu's atmosphere consists of 69% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, 5% carbon dioxide, 3% methane, and 1.5% sulfur dioxide, and 0.5% hydrogen. The planet's atmosphere is also 14 bars, letting heat circulate throughout the planet much more easily, warming up the sides, not fake the start. When Minorluu was in its prime, its atmosphere was 78% nitrogen, 18% oxygen, 1.5% water vapor, 1% carbon dioxide, 0.4% methane, 0.1% argon, and trace sulfur gases, and it was only 2.5 bars of pressure. Minorluu's core is 7,000 Kelvin. It has made of the same materials as Minorgrave's core, but becoming extensively more powerful. Minorluu rotates slower in its orbit, taking 543 days to complete an orbit. This is due to Minorluu completely forming as a double planet before the other planet was ripped away, and its rotation slowed even more. It's only 0.72 AU away from the massive Minotron. Minorluu's atmosphere still transfers heat evenly, but it's a problem as the star age become hotter, and the side facing the star at the time was the hottest. But its atmosphere circulated this heat throughout the planet, heating it up the rest of the planet. Minorluu before the extinction. Unlike Minotron in prime, it was a lot more habitable, having a gravity of 1 G. Its gravity wasn't crushing everything on its surface. Also, the planet has a massive, warm, shallow oceans with one large continent and a smaller continent in the middle of the ocean. It had lots of sunlight, and its atmosphere circulated heat throughout the planet, keeping the side facing away from Minorluu always warm. Since Minorluu had circulated heat so evenly, it caused the planet to not have ice caps, and its poles instead be warm and pleasant with lakes, rivers, seas, and large marshes. Life had just started to diversify on land, and much more advanced creatures started to develop, but when the extinction happened, they quickly were wiped out, and eventually so was everything else. Minorluu today. Minorluu has no evidence of the great life it used to have long ago. Its crust has solidified into its shell with no tectonic plates, just like Venus and Mars. Its surface is also very hot now, and most of the evidence of Minorluu having a sea and continent have been completely destroyed from the massive volcanic chains along the surface. The planet is now uninhabitable hellscape, being heavily volcanic, but not as heavily volcanic as Minorluu, but more heavily volcanic than Venus. Minorluu now has canali similar to Venus, massive volcanic mountain, a thick, hot atmosphere, and raised part of the surface, showing the only evidence of the once massive continent on the planet's surface. This is the final video.